Hey y'all, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Wesley Joseph's new album that came out on April 10th called Forever Ends Someday. Wesley Joseph is a British rapper, singer, songwriter, and even filmmaker. His music blends hip-hop, soul, R&B, and electronic music into a very cinematic and even avant-garde sound, which he honestly takes to an entirely new level on this album. Wesley Joseph is someone who's mainly only been active in this decade, releasing his first singles in 2020 and his first EP called Ultramarine in 2021. And he released his second EP called Glow in 2023, but this is considered his debut album. The cover of this album is pretty simple. It's just a portrait shot of Wesley Joseph, and he's holding a butterfly in his hand. And behind him is a black, white, and purple background that almost looks like a white sky with purple and black clouds. It's not an incredibly long project. It's got 13 tracks and it's only about 37 minutes long, but this album really makes the most out of every single minute. Getting into the actual album, we have the first track titled Distant Man. It's deeply introspective and poignant, and it feels very nostalgic. It has a hypnotic beat with some great rapping and a very beautiful chorus. It's really a near perfect representation of what's to come on the album without sounding really like anything else on the album. Next we have the track titled White Tea, which has a pulsing electronic beat paired with falsetto singing. It definitely has a lustful feel to it as it conveys some sexual desires, and the lyrics at some points even express feeling regret over the night before. Next we have the track If Time Could Talk. Now the first two tracks on this album were great, but this is where I feel like the album really picks up and gets even better somehow. This track has a piano and synth driven beat that has very dreamy production that creates a sort of, dreamlike atmosphere. And while it is sort of like a dance-like beat, the lyrics are pretty melancholic and paint a picture of regret over a past romance. Next up, we have the track Pluto Baby, which has a very driving and moody beat. This is an intense and passionate track that has very ethereal and layered production, which ends up being very resonant. And while all the tracks on this album are incredible, and I don't think that there's any skips on it, this one does stand out to me and is one of my favorites. Next, we have the track Quicksand, which has these choral backing vocals that makes the song feel very soulful and cinematic. This track is a plea for forgiveness of his past mistakes, but it's got this haunting feeling lingering in the background as the realization settles in that it may be too late. Next we have probably my favorite track on the album, definitely another one of my favorites, called Peace of Mind. This track features Danny Brown, who delivers an incredible verse, and his voice is perfectly complemented by the beat. It's a hypnotic and haunting beat that has a very booming bass. This track manages to create a feeling of chaos happening all around you, but your mind is at peace. Sort of similar to like a hurricane or a really bad storm where all around is really bad and it's destruction and chaos, but then at the center it's more calm and peaceful. And this track also has some of the tightest rapping from Wesley Joseph just on the entire album. Next we have the track Blinded. This track, he compares a turbulent relationship to a drug addiction where he recognizes that it's not healthy, but he's sort of powerless to really do anything about it. With lyrics like, why did it feel like something that's blasphemy? Why does it feel right if it's something that's bad for me? And it's overall just a really beautiful and intense track despite it kind of being a sad track. Next we have the track July, which features some beautiful vocals from Georgia Smith. This track is very mellow and serene and sees the two reminiscing about the conflicting feelings of getting older. And they have incredible chemistry together on this track, which makes sense considering that Wesley Joseph and Georgia Smith grew up together and have been friends since childhood. Following that, we have the track Seasick. This is another one of my favorite tracks that's incredibly psychedelic and has very dreamlike production. It's very slow-paced with a reserved energy, and it's layered and full-bodied, but doesn't feel overproduced. And there's this heavily distorted guitar throughout it that scratches an itch that I didn't know I had. And next we have the track Manuka, which is yet another slow-paced track with reserved energy. I love the concept of this track where he's constantly questioning whether he's in a state of euphoria or did he crash and die. And then at the end with the final, or did I crash and die, you hear these car horns blaring, getting increasingly louder, and then the song just ends. It's very spacey and atmospheric, and I just another one of my favorite tracks on the album. Next, we have the track Mind Games, which is almost a short interlude between the previous track Manuka and the next one. We've got another piano-driven beat on this track, and honestly, it's a great placement between the previous track Manuka, where he's constantly asking if he's awake or alive and questioning his sanity, and the next track, which is called Shadow Puppet, because he's describing shadows playing puppetry and fearing what's on the wall, sort of in a metaphorical sense of like him losing his mind. Which of course takes us into the next track called Shadow Puppet, which is very haunting and beautiful, and it feels very cinematic. It has these spacey synths that feel like they come from outer space. You can really feel the passion in his voice when he's delivering his verses, which are separated by this falsetto sung chorus, which creates a very nice contrast. And finally, we get into the last track on the album called 100 Miles. Conceptually, I like that the first track is called Distant Man and the final track is called 100 Miles. They both, create a sense of being very far away, and it just is a nice structure for the album that we're ending in sort of a place that we started in, but with a different perspective after going through the journey of hearing the album. It's a spacey and slow beat that sounds very melancholic, but the lyrics detail a pretty uplifting outlook about how he's determined to succeed in life. It's a very mellow track that I think works great as the final track on the album. I usually enjoy it when the final track is sort of calm and mellow, especially on such an intense album like this one. It gives you time to really digest what you just heard. But overall, I think this is a beautiful album with introspective and captivating lyrics, innovative and hypnotic production, and a great blend of rapping and singing that actually sounds good. I don't know, too often you get times where a rapper tries to sing and it doesn't sound good, or a singer tries to rap and it doesn't sound good. I really enjoy when someone is capable of doing both well. It feels very cinematic and theatrical with a coming-of-age theme leaning heavily into like the romantic aspects of life. This is one of my favorite albums of the year so far. It's probably my favorite album from last month. And it's just such an incredible album. And it's not one of those albums that you just play a couple songs from here and there after you've heard it and listened to it a couple times. It's every time I listen to this album, I listen to it from start to finish. But those are my thoughts on the new Wesley Joseph album, Forever Ends Someday. I love this album and I recommend you go listen to it. I can't recommend that enough. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.